Howdy folks, my name is Matt, but you may know me as Lazy Urchin, and today I'm going to be talking about what sensei from each class would be the best teacher logically, with lore backing it up. So here's how it'll go. They'll show up, there'll be their name, their class, a bit about them and whatnot, a bit about the others, and then I'll talk about them for a bit. Alright, so up first for the Brawler class, it's Kingpen. Now, in the lore, Kingpen was a skilled fighter and was taught spiritual and philosophical studies about war and fighting, and trained in a cave in the mountains with a wise Yeti master. And when eventually Eon found out about it, he recruited him, and in the lore, he is apparently the leader of the senseis. Which makes sense, given he's the poster boy. You always want to make the poster boy the leader, but he was... I'm just reading off parts from the wiki kind of thing. Apparently, he was recruited into Eon's top secret training program, where he quickly rose up in the ranks to become the leader of the Skylander senseis. Now, for a few of these, the choices I picked aren't like the best, but they're the best of the worst kind of thing. Up next is Blaster Tron of the Night class. Now, this guy would be a great teacher, but not great for in combat, because, hear me out, in the lore, it's said that he has a good/evil switch that was set to evil. Imagine you're fighting on the front lines, and all of a sudden one of your allies goes down, an enemy opens their backpack or whatever, flips a switch, and now they're an enemy. Do you want to deal with that? No. But as he's from the future, he can give 110% to training his students. You want that for training your allies, rather than 110% of his effort facing you just because a flip of a switch happened mid-battle. Like, does that make sense? I feel like that makes a bit of sense, but that's just kind of how it is. Tri-tip. In lore, he forged his mace himself in order to try and break open a golden walnut. That was his life's goal kind of thing. And he trained with the greatest warriors to become the ultimate master of smashing. Versus Pinata, who is essentially a Pinata man-child, and Chopscotch, which I don't trust. But in the lore again, it's stated that once he realized his destiny, he gave the unopened walnut to one of his students and left to join the Skylanders. Meaning, Homeboy had students in the past, so he is a master of smashing, the ultimate master of smashing, and he has experience teaching. He would be the best teacher for the Smasher Imaginators. I'm going to be real. Now, Hood Sickle is a bit of a different story, seeing as in the lore, he's not a bad guy, he's just really, really spooky looking. And after Eon gave him a chance and hung out with him, he figured that out. And in the lore, it's stated that he teaches Sentinel Imaginators who, and I'm directly reading it off now, who definitely hang on to his every word, or else. Think about it. You'd learn better from a teacher who's fucking terrifying, because you'd be focused on writing stuff down that they say and not messing around in class, because if they look like the Grim Reaper, you're gonna pay attention so that way they don't kill you, kind of thing. Fear is a great motivator. Scared Straight tells us this. But, I mean, the other Sentinels are decent, but, like, he's the best choice. Chain Reaction. He found a group of dwarves that were under attack from ninja rats, apparently, and he helped them and taught them everything that he knew so that they could one day protect themselves. And then Eon found out about this and knew at once that he needed to find Chain Reaction and make him a sensei. If you've got the Eon seal of approval, you're pretty much set, but I want to take this time to say that, as I typed there, points for bad juju. she somehow conjured up a son while she was imprisoned in the rebuilt Cloudcracker prison, and then she realized, maybe raising a kid in jail ain't actually a great idea, and so she bargained with Eon to get out, and as such became a sensei. Like, points for her. Now, Taquan Crow! In the lore, it's stated that he doesn't really care about pirating, he just wants to correct people if they dare to do stuff out of the norm kind of thing. And it's stated that Master Eon dared him to change his ways and use his abilities for good instead, which, I mean, that's pretty fucking badass. And it's also stated in the lore that he realized that he could actually serve as a role model to young ninjas and help them avoid the dark path that he went down, which I really like, because it's less of like I should be good for the sake of being good, and more of, I should be good to help people avoid making the same mistake I did. And I really like that personally. I enjoy that. So he's here. Up next is Buckshot. I'm gonna flip the order. I'm gonna say one thing and then I'm gonna say the other thing instead. So I'm saying the second part first. He, in the lore, always keeps one eye on the target and the other on the lookout for the spell punk that had banished him. Which sounds bad, but at the same time, he and his siblings were banished to the magic realm of mysterious mazes by an evil spellpunk that wanted to rid Skylands of all sky fawns. It's said that when he was young he was banished. It's never said how long it took him to get out. It's reasonable to think that he spent his whole life in a maze dimension with his family. But on top of that, Robo is a precocious, self-absorbed fuck. And Wolfgang just wants to be respected. So it's really the lesser of three evils here. Just a guy who's always looking for a mage. And speaking of a mage, Chompy Mage, the bazooker. In the lore, they talk about some of the villains helping out by cleaning up the library of all the giant books. And as such, this gave him time to take up the bazooka, which he was naturally so good at that he now trains Imaginators of the bazooka class as a sensei master. Chompy Mage is a bazooka prodigy, and Flarewolf is a fireworks-flavored arsonist. So I'd rather take Chompy Mage, plus he apparently has made amends with every faculty member and Skylander at Skylander's Academy, meaning that he has buried the hatchet with his new allies and friends despite his past evil doing. He made an effort to better himself and to apologize for his actions. He gets points from me for that one. Now, Tidepool is a bit rough. In the lore, Master Eon felt that someone of her caliber would be perfect to train new Skylanders as a sensei of the Quickshot class, but in the lore, she was betrayed by her allies before, and as such, to earn her trust, she requested that everyone pass a truth test that she would conduct. Thankfully, all the members of Skylander's Academy passed with flying colors, except for Flynn, who insisted that he was 50% Mabu and 50% enchilada sauce. Tidepool apparently felt that he was 100% meathead. Now, Tidepool's good, and I mean, a lot of people like Crankcase, but at the same time, it's better to pick the underwater sea life spy than the mad doctor. I'm gonna be real. Nothing against Crankcase, but realistically, she would be the better teacher. And Pit Boss, who was part of a mountaintop order of snake philosophers, and people kept coming up to ask them questions. And a bunch of people kept asking how to deal with chaos, and so Pit Boss knew that it was time for action, not words. He left the Order of the Snake in search of this threat, and soon it was clear that chaos was worse than he had imagined. And as such, he joined the Skylanders, and due to his great wisdom and mystical powers, Master Eon enlisted him into the Sensei program as a sorcerer master. Homeboy is essentially an elder wizard, an archmage, and as such, Eon understood with his skill he would be great as a teacher and enlisted him to help out. This one is quite literally one of the few that it's like, this is an instant pick. This one is the teacher. But that's just kind of it for this video, I'm gonna be real. Thanks for watching all the way through and putting up with my weird psychotic ramblings about fictional game characters, and have a good one, alright, folks?